Alright, welcome back to this tutorial. This is the second tutorial in this series of coding with your phone, and you are using the Python programming language. So if you are in our WhatsApp classroom, you notice that our second topic there is comment and clearing of screen. But before we get into comment and clearing of screen, we will actually have to go through data types. Alright, if you're writing any code or any program, you know that data type is very important for you to. You have to get acquainted with the kind of data that you are going to be using. So that's why I want to go through these data types first in this tutorial. So this tutorial is best viewed using your phone, and most times you have to hold the phone horizontally so that you can actually see the complete screen. So when immediately I'm going, if I'm to flip the screen horizontally, I mean, yeah, horizontally, I'll let you know. So the reason I'm actually going through this tutorial with to, to code with your phone is actually because a lot of some young guys have been asking, or some people want to go into coding have been asking, can I code with my phone? While before I get a system, can I actually start learning how to code with my phone? Yeah, the answer is yes, you can learn how to code with your phone. So previous video, I showed you how to actually download this app that I'm using for the coding. And basically, that's what it takes to code. To start coding, you download the required software or application or what is called code editor, and you start to code. All right, let's go into data types. So, so we have already created a new file, and it's tutorial 1 in the last previous video. So data types, they are actually four four data types that you often come across in Python. All right, the first one, is the integer. 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 These are whole numbers. Okay, these are whole numbers like one, two, sorry, two, three, and so on. It could as well be negative numbers like -1, okay, -5, etc. Okay, we will not actually go deep into explaining more of how we use them, but as you go through the tutorial, you'll get across them and you see how they are used and how you manipulate them. The second type of data that you'll be using here is strings. Strings, okay, strings. All right. So strings are any data that is embedded in quotation. All right. Any data that you put in between this quotation sign. For instance, you put one in between the quotation sign. That's a string in your code, and for this code editor, it shows green. Anytime you're using strings, it will actually show green. For instance, the first code we wrote, hello world, print hello world, you see, we actually embedded strings here. So this is a string data type. All right. You can embed numbers. You can put in numbers in between, like I put in here, 1. Or you can write a sentence like this, welcome to my tutorial. So that's string for you. The third data type that you encounter while coding with Python is the Boolean. Okay, Boolean. All right, Boolean data types includes true, true, or false. All right, they include true or false. You should notice you notice that it's actually case sensitive. If you've observed there, it's actually case sensitive, and And the last data type that you actually come across here is the float float. So the float data type, let me put number 5, 1 2, this was 3, sorry about that. This was not the third data type. And the fourth data type that you will come across is the floats. Okay, floats. So for the floats data type, it converts a value to a floating point number. That means a number with a decimal point. Okay, this data type is any decimal number with a floating decimal point. All right. So for example is something like 1.2. Any number with a decimal point is a float. Any data with a decimal point is a float. So that's it with data types. All right, that's it with data types. I hope now you might not really see how it actually affects us now while we are, but when once you start coding, you get to learn the rules that you need to follow when using these data types and when you are including them in your programs. Okay, so let's look at comments. Why do we need comments? What are comments? Comments in Python are identified with the data hash identified with the hash symbol. Okay, let me just flip the screen over so that you can actually read that. You can pause the video and read the little note that I attached here. So you can flip your screen over and right now. So comments in Python are identified with a hash symbol. You can see the hash sign there. Okay. So and extends to the end of the line. Hash characters in the strings are not considered. Hash character in a string are not considered comments. However, there are 3 ways to write a comment. As you can write it as a separate line or beside the corresponding statement of code or as a multi-line block comment. Okay, so there are multiple uses of writing comments in Python. The significant uses are to increase the readability, make your code to be easily read. Someone else can easily pick up your code and read it, especially when you are sharing your code. To explain the code to others, someone else can easily pick up your code and knows what each line stands for. To understand the code easily after a long time, probably you wrote a code on January and maybe you left that computer for some time and you come back maybe towards November. So if you drop comments on each line of on your code, you will easily know, okay, this was my thoughts while I was writing this code. This is what I want to use this part of the code for. This is what this part of the code is doing. To include resources in which you actually use in creating those codes and to reuse existing code. All right. Okay. Let's just flip our phone back again and actually apply that to what we're using now. All right. So for instance, after writing all this on my code editor, all this stuff you can see here, if I should try to run this program, you see invalid syntax, the program is not running, it has crashed. Okay, so what do I need to do so that this the software will understand that all this what I'm writing here are just me making comments. I don't want the code editor to try to run them. So I'll come here to this data type. The first way of actually putting in a comment is to do what? Bring in the hash symbol. So you can see now the the data type now is faint. The color have changed. It's no more as it was compared to integer, strings, and the rest. So what that tells us now is when this program is trying to run, the compiler will not run anything beside this hash sign, beside this hash. Okay. So now what about all these ones? These multi lines, these multiple lines. If another way of me commenting is just keeping on writing the hash sign. And once I do that, that changes. Don't forget to make a space after you must have written the hash. All right. That's that's one way to actually do multiple lines comments. But that can be tiring for you to actually go and be doing hash in each lines. So another way is to just bring in the quotation sign, but instead of making it double quotation, you make it three quotation signs, one, two, three. You know now this now changes the color and makes it look like a string. That is a string that you are writing. But for you to actually indicate that there is not a string, is you don't assign it to any variable. Okay, you don't assign it to anything. You just include it there at the beginning and at the end. So that's it for commenting. If you notice, I already commented these ones also out. I use 1, 2, 3 to indicate that this is a comment and the color have changed to green. And at the end of it, at the end of where I want to stop, I just include the same one, the same three quotation signs here at the beginning at the end. That's how you comment multiple lines if you have a lot of lines. So if we try to run this now, you see hello world, welcome to my tutorial. The program has actually successfully run now on the output screen. Okay, so the usefulness of comments is to tell someone else that is picking up your code. Okay, this line, this is what this line is actually doing. For instance, my first line there, I want to tell somebody that may not know. Okay, this line prints, okay, output hello world on the screen. Okay, then I save that and I try to run it. You can see now hello world is output on the screen. But if I should take out this hash sign down and I save it and I try to run, invalid syntax. Okay, invalid syntax, it means the program has crashed. Okay, so that's the usefulness of comments. I believe you've been able to actually see why we need comments, to include comments in our codes. All right, so having done that, we can now go into our next topic, to clear the screen. All right, so this you will not actually make use of clearing the screen while you are actually coding with Python. Or, I mean, sorry, not with Python. While you're actually making use of your phone because of the kind of code editors available for Android, for instance, right now. But if you are using Windows, your computer, okay, to clear the screen, the command you use to clear screen is you use CLS. You can use this command CLS, or you can use this command from this function clear, the clear function, or you can also press Ctrl C on your. I think that one that has to do with on the terminal when you are running, when you are on your terminal. But on a mobile device like this, we are not using terminals here, and we don't really need to use the clearing of the screen commands. Okay, so I think that's it for these tutorials. All right, before we just wrap it up here, if you include the hash sign in between strings like print hello world, you now bring in the hash sign here. You see, it doesn't change the fact that it's still a string. It's still in between quotation. If we should run this, you now see hello hash world. Okay. The only time that the hash sign that tells the 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 compiler that it is actually a comment is when you put it at the beginning of what you want to be made as a comment. For instance, here now we want this to be a comment. Okay, if you want to comment the first line now so that the compiler does not run this very code, I can bring hash here at the beginning. You see all the color changes now. If I should run it, you will only be welcome to my tutorial. So the compiler now or the code editor has actually ignored the first line. Okay, so let's take that out and save our codes for next time. All right, so thank you for actually watching and thank you for joining us again. Do well to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and do well to join our WhatsApp class in which we are actually learning how to code and learning physics and mathematics from the very basic level. See you in the next tutorial.